Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this Flood and Coast webinar series, webinar workshop series on the meeting on the Essex Coast Organisation. We're just going to wait another minute or so that everybody join the call. Five people have started to slow down, so we'll get underway. Barney.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar. I am Barney Richardson. I'm Secretary of the Essex Coast Organisation, and hopefully you'll find this an interesting approach to flood risk management. We were born out of a project called the Managing Coastal Change Project about 20 years ago, which was run in conjunction with the Environment Agency and the National Farmers Union and the country landowners and the wildlife groups, and after the end of that project, we were asked to form a group and continue the work that was started with that organization. And so hopefully in the course of this, you will see how we operate and what we're trying to achieve and the benefits that we're bringing to the coast and to the Environment Agency and to all the people who are involved with us. Right. Can we move on, David? Brilliant. So you will hopefully see in the course of this that we have a very sustainable model. We're providing value for money for our partners. We react quite quickly because we're on the ground. We're very local. We're using local communities, local contractors, and we actively engage with all our stakeholders and government organisations. And you'll see as we go through. I'll explain that in a bit more detail. Thank you.
Should we talk about, just mention the QA questions and Q&A, Barney?
Yes. So we will take questions at the end, please. But do put things in the chat if you'd like to, and we'll go on from there. But we'd like to do them at the end if we can, possibly. Thank you. So, as I say, we've been running now for over 15 years. We operate as a subscription organisation and set up as a not-for-profit company, and we invite membership for any businesses who are affected by could be affected by coastal flooding, and we have probably about 75% of the Essex coast as our membership, but we work actively with other organisations who have coastal land and businesses to help them where we can as well. So we don't exclude anybody. We work with everybody we can. And throughout it, as with the Managing Coastal Change before, liaising with the EA is absolutely important. I mean, central to the whole thing. And to that end, and my personal thanks to the EA for the new 5-year agreement that we have in place now to help fund our small scale repairs to sea defences. We like to think we're providing fantastic value for money, and I think as we've gone through over the years, that has been shown to be the case. We have incredibly low costs and overheads. Our main, I'm effectively the only person paid by the organisation. All our committee and our directors are volunteers and do a fantastic job. We are very much based in the local community around the Essex coast, and everybody knows everybody. And we are using farm contractors to do these works when we can. And we are in partnership with the EA for procuring materials. So we're trying to keep everything at the lowest cost base we possibly can. And you can see from the picture, hopefully on that screen there, you can see the sort of scale of thing we're trying to do. We're not taking on the massive jobs. We're not in that game. But that's where we are. And as a further part of it, and a big the liaison with all the other bodies that we're involved with is really important, because we need to try and keep in touch with what's going on at government level and with the Regional Flood and Coast Committee and the Essex Coast Forum. And so we have to be, we try and attend as many of those meetings as possible and keep in touch with everybody who's involved with those. And so that they know that we're still here, and that and we can have some input, hopefully, into how the Essex coast is managed in the long term. And so that's a very important part of it, is the fact that we can, we're on the ground, we can do the work really quickly and effectively, and we can store and use materials on our members' land, and we also have the ability to meet with the relevant bodies that are involved with coastal matters. So they are all, and some of those are long-term strategic meetings. The SMP, the Shoreline Management Plan meetings, is a very long game, and the fact that we've been involved with it for 15 plus years is very important that we keep our involvement in it. So that's where we are and what we're trying to do. Hopefully that makes sense to you all. I'm going to hand over to David now for a few minutes to go through his side of things.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm David Gauntlet. I am a Senior Flood Risk Management Advisor and Coastal Engineer for Essex Environment Agency. I sit in our Coastal Partnerships and Strategic Overview team in East Anglia, with a specific focus, as I've already said, on Essex. I am the responsible officer for the Essex Coast Organisation Partnership, and as part of my role, which is the strategic management and oversight of the Essex coastline, I work day to day alongside colleagues in operations with Barney and the Essex Coast Organisation to deliver this excellent programme. For us, why is it important? With assets and investment, it gives us an alternative approach. We get massively increased asset surveillance information through the improved relationships with key stakeholders, eco members, commissioning and walking their own walls, their own sea walls, giving us new information about asset health and improving our overall picture of that in a way that we couldn't do with our own internal resources. It gives us a greater capacity to implement fix before fail repairs to aging assets. Picture on a couple of slides ago from Barney of a defect in some of our erosion protection. that erosion protection system has been on that wall for over 60 years now and needs to be repaired. It's a very, under the Essex Coast Organisation arrangement, it's a very quick and easy repair, and it gets done faster than we'd otherwise potentially be able to do that. This partnership enables us to have low cost intermittent maintenance to continue on many assets where rising costs through our conventional procurement arrangements might prevent that or make that uneconomic. And through those small repairs occurring, we're seeing reduced degradation rates, which is reducing demand for larger scale interventions via our investment program. In terms of ensuring that the works do not negatively impact the environment, we're able to take a proportionate approach. We have a regular liaison with our fisheries, biodiversity and geomorphology teams about the sites being brought into the program. The work is being completed for us. ECO and its subcontractors working as effectively our contractors and using our existing exemptions. We have existing Appendix 11 assents from Natural England, which cover this work, and where we need to, despite what's just been said, where we need to, because the works are slightly larger, we do still then go through conventional permitting routes where we need to. Back to Barney.
Brilliant. So as part of this joint operation, we use a civil engineer who has a fantastic knowledge of coastal engineering, has been working on the coast all his life, and that gives us a tremendous amount of credibility, I think, to do these small works without having an adverse impact, as David's demonstrated there, with any of the assents that we need. We're also extremely keen to look at different techniques of coastal repairs, and from any sort of different materials and things like that to change the way that we can help with the sea defences. And for the future, we would hope that we can work with any organisation. We show that we work with the wildlife charities. We can work with local authorities. We've got a fantastic relationship with the EA, and we want to increase that as we go along and forward with this. And hopefully, it can show that we are of benefit to our members. We are a benefit to our partners, and also to hopefully the local and national government can see that we are paving the way for a different method of helping with flood defences and sustainable solutions.
Yes, I mean, for us at the Environment Agency, we're incredibly grateful to all the hard work the Essex Coast Organisation has done over the 15 plus years that it's in existence. We do see a real difference, and we see as a key value in helping us maintain relationships with our coastal stakeholders. Essex, to clarification, has got a coastline of over 400 kilometres without counting all the little islands that are there, and it does give us a real value to in delivery and far more eyes on the ground. So we'll now move into a Q&A session to help us not to avoid trying to manage hands up. If you could use either the Q&A function or put questions in the chat. If you want to go away and think about a question, if you go to the Essex Coast Organisation website, the link for which is up on the screen, there's a contact form there, and that information, put a question in that, and that will get to Barney, and you can pass it on to either answer it himself or pass it on to me. So, open it up for questions. Thank you for listening.
Gone very quiet. We must have explained everything so perfectly. Oh, here we go.
So Mohammed Samir is asking which part of the coastline is the most adverse condition. Generally, it is the bits that are the most exposed. We have some rather exposed corners which face the full force of the North Sea. But anywhere that's got a really decent fetch can be challenging, or if there's been a lot of historically less good management, say cattle poaching can present real challenges. And the Essex coast is very dynamic. All coastlines are very dynamic. We can have a wall in perfect condition for half a mile, and then 200 yards away, you'll have a section where we've lost foreshore levels, and so revetment systems are failing. Daniel's asking what the challenges ahead. We have a constantly changing, obviously, how government procures work does evolve and change over time. We have to ensure that we stay within current guidelines as the way we're working. Government DEFRA has recently confirmed that we are there, and we again allowed us to renew a 5-year agreement. And we are actively looking that beyond that 5 years as to how we can take this agreement forwards, and then how we can also expand the accessibility for a model of works like this to a wider audience in the country, so more areas. Mark from the Surrey Lead Local Authority is asking how we're managing the conflict between needing defences and wildlife groups wanting new wetlands. Mark, it's a really good question. Part of that, it's why management of Essex Coast Organisation programme sits with me. I also manage the Essex and South Suffolk Shoreline Management Plan, SMP 8, and we have membership on that working group, as well as on the Essex Coastal Forum, which is the elected member oversight body for the Shoreline Management Plan from the Essex Coast Organisation. So we work in partnership with our NGO partners such as RSPB and the Essex Wildlife Trust to ensure that the programme that we're looking at is in line with the Shoreline Management Plan, where it may be a managed realignment policy, but there is now under the Shoreline Management Plan, but there are no active plans yet enabling that wall to continue while plans may be developed, but also saying, actually, no, this isn't the place to focus because we know that. And it's worth saying that RSPB and Wildlife Trust are involved. One of the regular sites for works under the programme is RSPB's reserve at Old Hall. And Essex Coast Organisation, working with RSPB and their contractors, do deliver very good hold the line work there, don't we, Marnie?
It's a very interesting point, Mark, you're making, that the obviously the provision of freshwater habitat behind the defences as well as wanting more saline habitat possibly is as you say, potential for a massive conflict. But I think we'd like to say that we're working with everybody to achieve good results in both those areas. And we've seen areas with managed realignment and creating new wetlands and saltings and salt marshes. But at the same time, we're very conscious as well of freshwater habitat, which is on the Essex coast. That the marshland behind the sea wall is quite a rare commodity, and I think there is need for that freshwater habitat as well as and a certain amount of brackish habitat as well. So it is an interesting and fluid, if I can use that word, ongoing I wouldn't say conflict, but of challenge. Any other questions?
Thank you, Will, for that question. Will Mackay, who is our field operations contact for this program, has asked a question, which is a very good question. Could this approach work elsewhere in the country? And the answer is yes. Where you've got groups of landowners or individual landowners who want to get involved in their management of their own assets, but working in partnership with the Environment Agency, rather than it being a withdrawal of maintenance approach or a landowner fully taking on responsibility. It's entirely possible. We are looking at how this work could be applied in other areas of East Anglia, and we would love to talk to any teams in any other part of the country who would be interested in trying to, applying something like this. It just requires two things, which is landowners to be interested and an understanding of within lead RMAs of the desire to do this. So Declan Condon's asked, in developing a sustainable community-led flood risk management model on the Essex coast, what innovative approaches or tools have proven most effective in balancing technical resilience, e.g. infrastructure and nature-based solutions, with long-term community engagement and ownership? There's a couple of bits in that. In terms of innovative approaches, I wouldn't say that what we're doing is, the key part of it isn't innovative. It's talking, it is communication, it's regular contact between landowners, ECO, the Essex Coast Organisation, and ourselves, the Environment Agency, which gives that asset intelligence. And if there is an innovative part of that, it's turning the traditional information flow round. It's previously been, you've traditionally said the Environment Agency goes out, inspects an asset and inspects a flood risk management asset and would tell the landowner what condition it's in. Now it's much more, because that way we get the information faster, and we get information maybe more than once a year, that a landowner would say, well, actually, I'm seeing this defect. Talks to ECO, Essex Coast Organisation, they talk to us, and we say, well, where can we fit this in our programme? In terms of technical solutions to solving things, I think it's also from an economics point of view, from a value for money point of view, it's about seeing how farmers can use their existing arrangements with contractors and their existing plant that's available, trailers, tractors, that allows delivery of this work at a much greater value. Barney, do you want to come in on that?
Yeah, I think it's you mentioned the in the question there the words community engagement, and that's exactly what is innovative about it. Um, because we are all involved with living on the coast, and it's absolutely essential that we all work together to achieve the different aims. And as I said before, some of that might be managed realignment, some of it might be a sea defence that needs to be kept up for a business, and it's a question of everybody working together, and that's what we have brought to the table over these years. That and the actual methods of working on the sea walls is I'm going to say it's not rocket science because it isn't. And every any civil engineer will tell you, how you do stuff. And I'm not a civil engineer, but it will tell you how to do put blocks together and make seawalls work and things and any other bits like that. So we're not trying to reinvent anything. We're just working better together, and that's the important bit.
Anish Rai has asked, as a flood modeler working the Isle of Wight, I'm interested in how you translate complex coastal modelling outputs and uncertainties into decisions that communities can engage with and what approaches have worked best in Essex. Anish, this is the hardest part. It's taking technical data and making it simple. There is no golden bullet. I would love there to be one in my role as running the shoreline management plan. It's one-to-one conversations lots of the time. It's sitting down and saying we don't have, it's also admitting we don't have all the answers, that there is uncertainty, but that we're going to be honest and that we're going to say we can't be certain what's going to happen for you in the long term, and we don't know whether the economics, modern economics and funding rules in 5, 10, 15, 20 years time are going to allow us to continue protecting your farm, your community at the same standard. But what we can do is we can, through working in partnership, deliver these works to ensure that the walls, that the assets that protect your community, your land, do remain resilient to, be it erosion from wave action, be it resilience to overtopping through working to top up lowways in the crest or protect crests from footpath erosion by also working in partnership with the Essex County Council Highways team on King Charles Third Coast Path, which is something that Essex Coast Organisation do very, very well. And where we do have to make difficult decisions, Essex Coast Organisation and the Essex Landowners Meeting, which is effectively our oversight group for management of the programme, which has more landowners in it on a daily, regular basis, give us more forums and more routes to discuss those challenging outputs and those challenging uncertainties with people, with organisations. Barney?
Yeah, I think it's very important that with a very complicated set of factors affecting how the sea operates and works with the coast, that we obviously can't just stand there like King Canute and say the wrong things. So we have to be able to work within the community to see for any given sector of the coast what's going to work best and how it's going to be provide value for money, how it can help those businesses either adapt or protect those businesses, and then just moving forward slowly in that direction rather than saying, well, we definitely can't do this because the model says we can't. So it is quite a it's complicated all the time, and the fact that we've been doing it for 15 years shows that it's ongoing and it'll see me out, and and I hope it continues long after I've gone because it's a really important. It's part of Essex Coast is a massive part of how the county works.
Chima has asked, is the organisation stakeholder in T2100 plan? Barney? I think you are.
Are we? That's a good question.
No, I think is the answer. Generally, from individual members may have input, and through the Environment Agency, there is some input. Generally, a lot of work of the Essex Coast Organisation is outside of the Thames Estuary. There's very little done. I don't think we've got any members in the Thames Estuary, have we, Barney? Anyway, Claire Kenny's asked, what's the split of funding for works between EA and membership costs? By which I think you mean, Claire, how much the EA to Eco or Essex Coast Organisation members contribute to works on their own land. That, to a degree, just depends on the scheme. Sometimes it's 50-50. Member will be paying, will support that. Sometimes it's more like 80-20. The Environment Agency paying the bulk of the cost of delivering the work. But effectively,
absolutely, Dave. There's great flexibility in the way things are funded, and apart from our the membership of the organisation, we also, our individual members do contribute, and so, as you say, the split of funding alters on various projects depending on how it's going. So yeah, and that's part of what makes it so effective.
Obviously, the more a landowner puts in, the more jobs we get to do in a year. But it is, still, even if the Environment Agency paying the full cost of a repair, it's still delivering huge value versus potentially going down traditional routes. Any more questions? I think questions have died up. If anybody has got any more questions they think of later, if you use the contact form on Essex Coast Organisation's website to contact us. There will be it's being put in the chat there. This session has been recorded, so if you want to come back to it and think about that again, it will be shared on the Flood and Coast Hub website, I understand. And all that remains is to say thank you all very much for coming and hearing about our partnership.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. It's been really good. Thank you.